G'day folks, Adam here from Ruslan Foundry, and tonight we're having a look at how to put together one of my Fordson Days rail tractor kits. This has been running for some time and it's done quite a few Ks, so it's starting to look a little bit worse for wear, but it still works. So these aren't really supposed to be a fully prototypical model, more of a in the theme of. Okay, this is powered by a 5-cell NiCad, which you can see tucked in there, and controlled by a Loco remote controller. Exactly what model, I can't remember. I have revised the cab since I produced mine. So this is available in a assemble yourself kit or a almost ready to run. And so I'm going to show you how to put it together. So, a standard plain box. We have the chassis of my own design. Cab roof, these parts are coming out in no particular order. One buffer beam, the buffer beams are symmetrical. Our Fordson power unit. I have been meaning to design up other power units to go on this chassis, but I haven't got round to it. Our cab. Our engine mounts. 4 wheels. These are 2 pairs to get our quartering, being a rod locomotive. Our connecting rods. Our manifold. A length of styrene tube to be used for the exhaust stack. Our belt pulley. Our motor, which is a standard 6-volt DC job. This model is capable of having 2 motors, but I've never found it justified. And I'll include a spare shaft out of a motor for our dead axle. We also have a little box which contains our bearings, 4 of. Yes, ball bearings. And with that, we're finished with the crate, so you can do with that what you will. And not included in the kit is whatever battery and control mechanism you would like to run. It's entirely up to you. And your fasteners, because different people like to use different things. In the case of my old rail tractor, I've used ordinary Phillips head. In the case of this one, I'm using little cup-headed hex head bolts out of a pack from eBay. We're using a mixture of 8, 12 and 16, I believe, millimeter M3 bolts and nuts. And you need something to turn them with. So we will start with the body. So our buffer beams clip on like such, and we can use some of the shorter M3 screws to hold the buffer beams and the footplate all in one in place. Now, so we've got front buffer beam screwed to the chassis. We now superimpose the engine cradle. Now, of course, you would paint these your chosen colouring before assembly, or if you've bought the almost ready to run version of this model, you want to essentially reverse what I'm doing here, and I've grabbed the wrong screw there. And then you can paint it as you wish. Giving you what you want. So we just line the bolt holes up. This is not overly complicated, but it is somewhat tedious. Okay. Now we have symmetrical bolt holes in this chassis, but some things are obscured by others. So we don't put a bolt in every hole that we can see. And I tend to screw these bolts in from underneath, as I feel the bolt holes, the bolts are more prototypical. The nuts are more prototypical than the bolts. So then we want the 16mm bolts. And now this is where things get a little bit more fiddly, because we want to thread that through 2 layers. So we've got the chassis, the foot plate, and then the engine mount. And then we also pick up the cab. We want to get a nut to go on that. Pick up the end of the Allen key. And I'm not nipping all of these bolts up fully tight, as there might be a little bit of wiggle room as it goes together. So through there, through the foot plate, and through the front mount of the cab. And another long bolt from this corner, picking up that. Now, I did design this model to have a handbrake wheel in the cab, but I never liked how it looked, so I have discontinued fitting that myself. And I've grabbed one of the really short screws, which doesn't go in that hole. Okay, so that is your chassis, foot plates, engine mount, and cab frame assembled. Next, we take our power unit. We can thread that through. Actually, before we do that, we'll take it, lay it on its side. We'll grab the belt pulley, one little screw. We'll fix that to the side. Okay, threading that chassis, put the power unit in. Okay, there we go. Then we grab one long screw, poke in the front, like so. And we grab a nut, and with a bit of difficulty, probably the fiddliest thing on the entire model, we need to get the nut in under the engine and convince it to do up. There we go, that's picked up. Okay. Our manifold, we simply want to insert our bit of styrene tube into it with a bit of glue, cut it to an appropriate length, and that simply glues to the side of the engine block. It's not a lot of glue on this model, but there is a little bit. So we take our motor. You'll want to glue, solder whatever kind of cable and connector you're going to use onto that. We're going to sort out our wheels. So we've got our drive dog. We'll put that horizontal crank pin, horizontal, vertical crank pin. So we want to put one of each onto our motor. Now these are just a fairly tight press fit onto the shaft, which I have forgotten to put the bearing on. So with a pair of pliers, we'll just wiggle that off and catch it. Our bearings just slide nicely on there. Push that on. Ball bearing on there. Push that on, nice and tight. They're set up that when they hit the shoulders on that shaft, they should be engaged. So logically, we just now want the lay shaft, which is over there, bearing and a bearing. Push those tightly together. Now we just want to check where we are timing wise. That one's down, that one's to the back, that one's down, that one's to the back, so we're good. So we just thread our motor up into there. We align our bearings with the cups in the bottom of the chassis. This one's decided to and once we're lined up, the bearings will just pop into the chassis. I did design this chassis to take retaining plates, but in the running of my own model, I've found them to be not necessary. So then we just push those in there, and so our last step, and I'll probably only show you one side of this, is we take some nice short bolts, put through the connecting rods, and we screw those into the wheels. Of course, you don't want to do those up tight, so there's a little bit of wiggle room. Take another one. Tighten that up. Leave it a little bit loose. And for argument's sake, I will show you the other side. So same thing, and you want to put them with their decorative casting mark out, just for looks. Because we've only had one set of rods on, that's actually bounced over centre and got out of time. And we have our last screw on. There. And now when we push it around, everything just turns. So our last step, of course, remembering we've glued, we glue that on there. A little bit of glue on the tops of those, and our roof slots into place. Thus we have our rail tractor. Of course, there's its well worn and painted twin. I find to operate nicely. They require a bit of extra ballast, being fairly light with plastic wheels. As you can see, I've got a number of steel wheel weights stuck in the compartments front and rear. That is the intention of those compartments, to add weight. This is still very eager to spin its wheels. I could probably double the onboard ballast, but it does the job for the time being. This kit is available on our Facebook page. Link in the description. If you've enjoyed this video, consider like, sharing, subscribing, and we'll catch you on the next one. I'll finish with some footage of my example running in my own garden. Good night.